The story of Security Breach has been pretty much completely unpacked at this point. Mysteries like the identity of Patient 46 and the post-it note room have been put to rest. But with Ruin coming soon, some very important questions to the story still go unanswered. What ending to Security Breach actually happened? And how does Ruin connect to these events? Does Ruin even connect these events? And how did Parts and Surfaces hold the answer to all of it? It is mostly agreed Ruin takes place after the burn trap ending. After all, the Pizzaplex is destroyed and the animatronics are still damaged, which we see during the ending. But this ending doesn't make sense. During the cutscene, we clearly see Gregory and Freddy escape the Pizzaplex unharmed, but then they both appear in the new trailer. Even if we take Gregory out of this, assuming his voice is the mimic, Freddy being inside still doesn't add up. In fact, looking at each ending, they all have problems preventing them from being the bridge between Security Breach and Ruin. The Princess Quest, good ending, and bad ending all don't result in the Pizzaplex being destroyed. The burn trap ending has both Freddy and Gregory escape, which we know is impossible, and the unmasked ending is possible, but not all the animatronics are destroyed to get this ending, and Freddy is left outside the Pizzaplex. So does that mean the true ending is actually Freddy being disassembled and leaving Gregory trapped in the Pizzaplex? Well, it does all seem to work. Freddy is destroyed, Gregory is trapped, and the nightmare bots could cause the damage we see in Ruin. But like the unmasked ending, Monty never has to be destroyed to get it, so he wouldn't be damaged like we see in Ruin. So something's not right here. None of the endings we see line up to Ruin. Each of them have parts to the puzzle, but none fully connect. Maybe this is because Ruin actually comes before Security Breach, not after. What if it's actually a prequel? Now, this theory may sound impossible, with Gregory directly saying,
"I'm trapped here at the Pizzaplex, or what's left of it,"
along with the animatronics having the same damage we see in Security Breach, immediately paints this DLC as a sequel. But this evidence is not as concrete as it seems, as we will come to see. So let's start with what we know. The location of Ruin. The Pizzaplex Cassie is exploring is definitely the same Pizzaplex as Security Breach, based on the familiar locations and characters, but what we don't know is when Ruin is supposed to take place. It is assumed it takes place a few months after the ending of Security Breach, with graffiti and repairs being underway all over the Pizzaplex. Gregory is also heard in the trailer, which means he must have been in the Pizzaplex at some point, which I'll get onto. The damage to the Pizzaplex happening before Security Breach can be explained by taking a look at FNAF 2's story. When the teaser's released, it was widely believed to be a sequel to FNAF 1, with the animatronics from the original game being left destroyed in an abandoned room. But it turns out they were restored before the FNAF 1 location opened, making FNAF 2 a prequel, which was a massive surprise. Now going back to Security Breach, this story should sound familiar. The original 4 animatronics being destroyed, an abandoned location, and what feels like an obvious sequel, almost a replication of what happened in FNAF 2. We also know the Pizzaplex has been closed down before from a secret message called Customer Complaint, which complains about the reopening of the Pizzaplex after children have gone missing. So the Pizzaplex has already closed before and has reopened since, so Ruin could take place right between this gap. Moving on, the animatronics from Ruin are damaged similarly to what we see during Gregory's escape, which was a big support for Ruin being a sequel. But what if the animatronics had this damage before the Pizzaplex opened? Taking a look into the Parts and Services room, which is the same room that held the key information of FNAF 2 being a prequel, we see the blueprints for the key parts of each animatronic: Monty's claws, Roxanne's eyes, and Chica's voice box. Looking from a story perspective, these upgrades could have been originally used to renovate the animatronics before the Pizzaplex opened. Notice how these upgrades are already on the system, along with an upgrade for Freddy, even though he isn't damaged when we first find him. He could have been damaged in Ruin and would have needed fixing before Security Breach. These blueprints are then seen by Gregory coincidentally as he walks past.
"Freddy, check out these pictures. Chica has some sort of special voice box, Roxy has new eyes, and Monty was given better claws. We have to get these!"
Which explains how the animatronics seem to have the same damage from Security Breach without Gregory being involved. The only evidence that would completely disprove this is if these parts were seen on Glamrock Freddy in the trailer. It would show the damage on the animatronics was done by Gregory when he gave Freddy these upgrades. However, every part of Freddy that had upgrades are all conveniently hidden from view in the only scene he is in, which is a little suspicious. So assuming the animatronics in the teaser were damaged before and not by Gregory, this still leaves the issue of Gregory's voice in the trailer. He must be in or have been in the Pizzaplex for the mimic to use his voice. But how can that be possible if Ruin came before Security Breach? To answer this, I'll go back to one of the first questions that was never answered in Security Breach. How did Gregory end up in the Pizzaplex to start? He wasn't listed as a guest and the system didn't recognise him, so he definitely didn't enter as a regular guest. This could be because he was inside before this system was set up, before the Pizzaplex was even built. He could have hidden inside during the Pizzaplex's construction, and that is why he's inside without being registered or known of. We already know other people were hidden during its construction, the main one being Burn. This explains why he is inside without being registered or known of, and why his voice is in the trailer, which could be him or the mimic in this scenario. To support this, there are the secret CDs that describe Gregory wanting to be in the dark, which would feel right to home when he's living in the destroyed Pizzaplex. Take a listen.
I'll pull the shades. Better? When the shades pulled, it feels like we're in a cubbyhole or a cave. Yeah?
This combined with the fact it also said he is seen running around on the cameras in a different CD. Maybe those are the cameras we see in Ruin? But what could this mean for Security Breach? Could Freddy be aggressive and actually be the one that destroyed Bonnie? Will Roxanne help us? Or is this all completely wrong and the disassemble ending actually happened? Well, I'll leave that speculation up to you guys. So subscribe if you want some hopefully accurate FNAF theories in the future, and check out my FNAF playlist for more Security Breach and Ruin content. Thanks for watching.